Welcome back to the deep dive. It is Monday, January 26th, 2026.
2026.
I just want you to, take a second and look at that date. We have been staring at the coming soon signs, the construction, the countdown clocks for what feels like forever.
It's felt like a decade.
But the wait is officially over. The semiquincentennial has arrived here in Philadelphia.
It's finally here. And can we just acknowledge the word itself for a second? Semiquincentennial?
It is a mouthful.
It really is. It sounds like something you get diagnosed with, but nope. It's just the technical term for 250th anniversary.
Yeah.
A quarter of a millennium?
I've been practicing saying it in the mirror so I don't, completely trip over it today. But you're right, 250 years is a heavy number.
It is.
And honestly, looking at this stack of schedules and press releases we have on the desk, the weight of it is literal. It feels like 2025 with the Navy and Marine Corps homecoming. That was just the warm-up stretch.
Oh, that's a fair assessment. The homecoming was the appetizer. 2026 is the full banquet. The phrase the organizers are using is that this year, every day is Independence Day.
Which, to be honest, sounds absolutely exhausting. I mean, do we really want fireworks every Tuesday?
I don't think I do.
But that's actually our mission for this deep dive. We're going to try to navigate this labyrinth for you. We aren't just going to list dates. We want to figure out how a city actually survives and celebrates a year this dense. We're moving beyond just the Liberty Bell to talk about global sports, massive art installations, and the chaos of organizing hundreds of block parties at the same time.
And I think the key to understanding all of this is to look at the Ring It On initiative and the official Philadelphia 2026 materials.
Okay.
There's a very deliberate pivot happening here. If you're expecting, a year-long history lesson about 1776, you might be surprised. This isn't just about looking backward.
It's not.
No, it's a celebration of Philadelphia's people right now, the specific flavor of all the neighborhoods, and really the future potential of the city.
So less about powdered wigs.
Way less about powdered wigs.
And more about the people currently living in the row homes.
Precisely. It's about civic pride and economic growth just as much as it is about the Declaration.
Okay, let's get into the weeds then. Because before we even touch the history, we have to talk about the adrenaline.
The energy.
The sheer volume of people descending on this city for sports alone is going to be a logistical stress test. And it starts immediately.
It does. We don't even have to wait for the summer. This Friday, January 30th, we have Philly is Unrivaled.
Right, at the Xfinity Mobile Arena. This is that WNBA showcase.
Yeah, one-night-only event. And bringing in WNBA stars right at the top of the year, that sends a message.
What's the message?
It's signaling that 2026 is going to champion modern athleticism and inclusivity right out of the gate. It's high energy, it's star-studded, and it just sets a very contemporary tone.
But if we fast forward to the summer,
Yeah.
well, that's when things get complicated. You've been calling it the summer of sports, which sounds nice.
Yeah.
But when I look at the calendar, it looks like a traffic jam of historic proportions. We've got the big three converging.
It is going to be intense. The crown jewel, undoubtedly, is the FIFA World Cup 26.
Philadelphia hosting 6 matches at Lincoln Financial Field. But there's one specific date on that schedule that made me just stop.
You're looking at July 4th.
July 4th, 2026, a round of 16 match.
It's a cinematic collision, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, think about the logistics. You have the 250th birthday of the United States in the city where it happened.
Oh, right.
You already have the heightened security, the tourism surge from that. And then you just drop a knockout round World Cup match
Right.
right in the middle of it.
It's a recipe for just glorious chaos. You're going to have the history buffs in their tricorn hats rubbing shoulders with face-painted soccer fanatics from, Brazil, France, South Korea.
But, it mirrors 1776 in a really fascinating way.
How so?
Back then, Philadelphia was this cosmopolitan hub where ideas from Europe and the Americas were colliding. It was an international city. Now, 250 years later, the city is reclaiming that status, but the diplomacy is happening on a soccer pitch.
That's a great point. It's solidifying Philly as a global city, not just a national museum.
Exactly.
And just when the city catches its breath from that, 10 days later, you have the MLB All-Star Game on July 14th at Citizens Bank Park.
Which hasn't been here since 1996.
30 years.
A 30-year drought. For a baseball town like this, that is a lifetime.
And we can't forget the PGA Championship at Aronimink in May or March Madness. But there's one event that I think captures the grit of the city maybe better than any of the stadium events.
The Cycling Classic.
The return of the Philadelphia Cycling Classic.
Yes, after a decade-long hiatus. And this is significant because it brings back the Manayunk Wall.
For anyone listening who isn't local or, hasn't destroyed their quads on a bike here, can you explain what the wall actually is? It sounds ominous.
It is ominous. It's a stretch of Lyceum Avenue in Manayunk. It has a 17% grade.
Wow.
In the cycling world, that is brutal. But the legend of the wall isn't just the steepness, it's the atmosphere. It's a neighborhood street lined with row houses. The residents throw these massive house parties. People are screaming inches from the riders' faces. It's like the Tour de France meets a block party.
That's the texture I'm looking for. It's not just a race, it's a neighborhood reclaiming its event.
Exactly.
So sports are going to be loud. But let's pivot to the awe factor. The art and innovation lineup seems to be trying to compete with sports for sheer scale.
It is. And the curators are leaning heavily into this concept of wonder.
And there's one opening on Valentine's Day at the Franklin Institute that seems like an odd pairing at first. Universal theme parks. The exhibition.
It does seem strange, right? Putting theme parks in a science museum. But if you peel it back, it makes perfect sense. Benjamin Franklin was the ultimate tinkerer. He was obsessed with mechanics, how things worked. This exhibition is a world premiere that dissects the engineering behind things like the Studio Tram Tour or the immersive worlds of Epic Universe.
So it's the how it's made of fun.
Exactly. It's treating pop culture innovation with the same reverence we usually reserve for, steam engines. It's about the science of immersion.
Speaking of immersion, let's talk about the Ministry of Awe.
Yes.
That name alone is fantastic.
This is a project by Meg Seligman, who is basically mural royalty in Philadelphia. She's taken over a restored bank in Old City, 6 stories of it.
And it's not just like looking at paintings on a wall.
No. It's an interactive environment. You walk through it. It's designed to be a sanctuary of color and emotion right in the middle of the historic district. Imagine the contrast.
Right.
You spend the morning looking at red brick and hearing about 18th century politics, and then you step into this explosion of modern art. It balances the solemnity of history with the vibrancy of living art.
That balance seems to be the theme here. We see it again with the Nation of Artists collaboration. This is the Philadelphia Museum of Art and PayFay.
The Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts, yeah. Teaming up.
Which is a rare institutional handshake.
It is. They're bringing together over 1,000 works, including pieces from the Middleton family collection that the public almost never gets to see. But the critical piece here is the curation strategy. They aren't just putting up the greatest hits. The explicit goal is to highlight diverse artists and overlooked voices in American history.
That's a crucial distinction. It's answering the question of who else was painting and creating while the country was being built.
It just broadens the definition of American art to include the people who are often left out of the history books.
Okay, now we can't do a deep dive on the 250th without talking about the intellectual side, why are we even doing this part? Because 1776 wasn't just a war, it was an argument, a debate.
A very, very heated debate. And that spirit of inquiry is being centered in the TED Democracy series.
Founding Futures, June 13th at the Kimmel Center.
This is fascinating because it takes the TED Talk format, which is very 21st century, very digital, and applies it to the oldest questions of the Republic.
So they're bringing in thought leaders to debate the future of democracy.
Exactly. Not just celebrating that we have one, but asking if it's working and where it goes from here.
And that ties right into the Museum of the American Revolutions exhibit, The Declaration's Journey. You said something in our notes about the reach of that document that I want to drill down on.
The global reach.
You said it influenced over 100 independence movements.
It did, and we need to be specific to understand the magnitude of that. We aren't just talking about vague inspiration. We're talking about Ho Chi Minh quoting the American Declaration of Independence verbatim.
Wait, really?
Verbatim. When declaring Vietnam's independence in 1945, we're talking about movements in Venezuela, in Liberia, in Czechoslovakia.
Ho Chi Minh quoting Thomas Jefferson. That is a juxtaposition most people do not learn in school.
Exactly. And the exhibit maps this out. It shows that the Declaration didn't just stay in Philadelphia under glass. It was a viral document before the internet was even a dream. It provided the vocabulary for resistance globally.
Wow. That's the kind of context that changes how you walk through the city. But on a lighter note, how do you explain any of this to a 6-year-old?
Yeah. Hey, kid, let's discuss the geopolitical ramifications of the 1776 document.
It's a tough sell.
That's a tough sell for a kindergartner. But the Please Touch Museum is tackling it with discovering democracy. They're stripping away the complex politics and focusing on the mechanics of citizenship.
Like what?
How do we make decisions together? What is a vote? It's about teaching the concept of we to a demographic that is usually very, very focused on me.
Start 'em young. Okay, we've done global sports, high concept art, and history, but there was one section of the mayor's plan that felt the most, I don't know, risky.
Or maybe just the most ambitious.
Ambitious in terms of herding cats. You're talking about Ring It On.
Ring it on.
The pun is terrible, but I kind of love it. This is the neighborhood initiative, and this is where the rubber meets the road.
It is. Mayor Parker's whole initiative is designed to ensure that the 250th isn't just a Center City party. If you live in North Philly or the far Northeast, you shouldn't have to take the subway to Independence Hall to feel like you're part of it.
So they have these three pillars: activations, beautifications, and celebrations. Beautification usually just means picking up trash, but this sounds more involved.
It's surprisingly detailed. It involves physical improvements, benches, planters, banners, but the design process is being led by community stakeholders themselves.
Oh, that's cool.
So a corridor in West Philly might choose designs that reflect their specific heritage, which would look totally different from a corridor in South Philly. It's about visual identity, not just cleanliness.
But the celebrations pillar, this is where I want to see the logistics plan. They are organizing Block Party Bonanza.
And the capitalization is in the official text, by the way. Bonanza.
We are talking about 250 block parties, and the city is providing life, liberty, and happiness kits. Do we know what's actually in these kits?
It's a party-in-a-box concept. So we're talking branded swag, street games, decorations, bunting, the things that make a block party look cohesive.
But the logistics.
The logistical labyrinth here is real. Closing down 250 streets, ensuring safety, distributing all these kits, it is a massive undertaking.
And they turned it into a competition, right?
Of course. This is Philly. Everything is a competition.
Naturally.
There's a contest for the most beautiful block. The 250 winners get the kits, but the top 25 supersized winners get the works DJs, inflatable bounce houses, treat vendors, all paid for by the program.
I can already imagine the neighborhood politics heating up over who has the best window boxes to win the DJ.
But that's the point. A block party is the fundamental unit of Philadelphia's social life. By formalizing it, the city is acknowledging that, the unrivaled WNBA game is great, but sitting on a lawn chair in the middle of the street with your neighbors is how this city actually celebrates.
And if you want to leave your own block, there's the Bells Across PA project.
Think of this as a citywide scavenger hunt. Local artists are designing 20 large replica Liberty Bells.
But not the cracked bronze ones.
No, these are canvases. They'll be painted, wrapped, interpreted by artists, and then placed in parks and commercial corridors. It encourages people to cross neighborhood lines.
It's a lot. We've covered a lot. But we need to zoom out and just look at the timeline. Because every day is Independence Day implies a marathon.
It is a marathon, but there are sprint intervals. The year is structured around 52 weeks of firsts.
This is the storytelling campaign.
Right. Every week, they highlight a Philadelphia invention. Some are obvious, like the American flag. Others are obscure or delightful.
Like the Slinky.
The Slinky was invented in Philadelphia. A naval engineer knocked a spring off a shelf.
I love that we are celebrating the Slinky alongside the Constitution. That feels correct.
It builds this rhythm throughout the year, celebrating ingenuity week by week. But it all crescendos in late June and July. This is the red, white, and blue to do.
Which leads into Wawa Welcome America. Now, usually that's a week-long festival.
This year, it's supersized. It runs from Juneteenth all the way through July 4th.
2 full weeks?
2 weeks of concerts, parades, and free museum days. And they are leaning into that pomp and parade idea.
Where does that phrase come from?
That's a direct reference to a letter John Adams wrote to his wife, Abigail. He said the anniversary should be celebrated with pomp and parade, with shows, games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations.
Well, he's certainly getting the illuminations. The fireworks in the parkway are going to be visible from space, I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
But here's my concern. We have the fireworks, we have the soccer, we have the block parties. It feels like a year of pure projection, just shouting, hooray, for 365 days. Is there any moment where we stop and think?
That is a critical question, and I think the organizers anticipated that sort of celebration hangover.
Right.
That's why they're launching Our Philly What Now in May.
What now? It's a provocative title for a festival in the middle of a birthday party.
It is. It's a multidisciplinary arts festival, but the prompt is philosophical. It's asking, okay, we've made it to 250. We've survived wars, depressions, upheavals. How has the nation evolved? And more importantly, Where do we go from here?
I think that balance is what might save this year from just being noise. You have the wing it on joy, which is local and immediate,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have what now and TED democracy, which are trying to steer the ship.
A celebration without reflection would feel hollow, especially given the complexity of American history. You can't just light a sparkler and ignore the last 250 years of struggle.
So we have choices. We have a menu that is frankly overwhelming.
You do. You can be a spectator at the World Cup, a participant at a block party, or a student at the museum exhibits.
If you had to cut through all the noise, if you had to give our listeners one piece of advice on how to mentally approach 2026 without getting completely burned out, what would it be?
You know, we focus so much on the big three sports and the fireworks
Mhm.
because they're loud and they look good on Instagram.
Yeah.
But if I connect the dots between the What Now Festival, the Discovering Democracy exhibit, and the neighborhood block parties, a theme emerges. The Declaration of Independence wasn't a magic spell. It was a conversation. It was a group of people arguing about what the future should look like.
So you're saying the conversation is the event.
I am. In a city celebrating the signing of that manifesto, the most important thing happening in 2026 isn't the soccer match. It's the conversations happening on the stoops during those block parties. It's the debate happening at the Kimmel Center. We're celebrating the start of a democracy, but 2026 is really about asking what the next 250 years look like.
And that doesn't happen on a jumbotron.
It happens between people.
That is a really powerful way to frame it. The fireworks are just the background noise for the real work.
Exactly.
So whether you are putting on your jersey for the World Cup, wandering through the Ministry of Awe, or just grabbing a water ice at your local block party, try to be part of that conversation.
Enjoy the year and pace yourselves. It's going to be one for the history books.
Literally. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you in the neighborhoods.